I'm Kathy from the Delafield Quilt Company, and I've got another little project to share with you, and that is this little flying geese zipper bag. This is a pretty nice sized bag. It's about 13 inches by 9 inches. So if you're looking for something a little bit bigger to hold all of your goodies, you might want to check this one out. And it's mini charm friendly. I hope you like the video. For the fabric that you're going to need to make this flying geese bag, you're going to need some fabrics for the outer shell and the lining. And for the outer shell, I'm using a linen solid and also some mini charms from Nutmeg Basic Gray. And then I've just got this pretty floral for the lining. The pieces that you need for this are 4.5 inch squares from your solid, and then 4 inch by 13.5 inch rectangles of the solid. And then for the lining fabric, you need to cut this so it's 13.5 inches by 10.25 inch. And you're going to need 2 of the lining pieces. And you're going to need 21 of your mini charms. If you don't have mini charms, just use 2.5 inch squares of whatever fabric you'd like. You're also going to need some batting. I'm going to cut this down so it's about 14 inches by 11 inches, and I'm going to need 2 pieces of batting. And you're also going to need a 9-inch zipper. It is helpful if you have some binding clips and some pins as well for this project. All right, to get started, we are going to start with making our flying geese, and we're going to do the virtually no waste method, where we're going to make 4 at a time. So we're going to need our 4.5 inch squares for this, and we're going to need some of our mini charms. So if you haven't used this method before, it's a really fast way to make 4 flying geese at a time, and you virtually get hardly any waste on these. We do have a video on our channel on this if you want to learn more about those, but I'm going to just show you quickly how to make these. So on the back of 16 of our mini charms, on the wrong side of the fabric, we're going to draw a diagonal line from one corner to another. And we're going to do that for all 16 of those. And I'm just using a regular pen because we're not going to see this in the end. And then once you have all 16 marked with a diagonal line, go ahead and take one of your 4.5 inch squares, and we're going to place 2 of these mini charms just like this on that square. And we're going to line up the diagonal lines, and I'm just going to put a few pins just to hold these little pieces in place. And then basically I'm going to just do a 1/4 inch line on both sides of this line that we drew earlier. Okay, now that I've got my line sewn on both sides, it's a little hard to see because of my thread color. I am just going to cut right on that line that I drew earlier and cut this piece in half. And now we're just going to press these quick, and I'm going to press the seam towards these little triangles here. And then we're going to take 2 more of our mini charms and right sides together now. I'm going to take one and line up the diagonal line that I drew earlier with the corner here all the way through the center of these 2 triangles that I sewed on earlier. And I'm just going to pin this in place, and I'm going to do another one. And just like I did before, I'm going to sew a 1/4 inch seam allowance along both sides of these lines that are drawn. So I've got my final mini charm squares sewn to these pieces, and now I just need to cut again down each of these, and then I'll show you how this turns into 4 flying geese at once. And then again, I'm just going to press these towards the triangle, and you can see I've got a flying geese here. I've got 3 more sitting here. And if you're wondering how big these should be when they're done, they should be 3 5/8 inch wide by 2 1/8 inch tall. And mine are pretty close, so I don't need to trim them down. I will, though, probably trim off these little dog ears that you see in all of these. So I went ahead and got all of my flying geese done, and now I'm just ready to arrange the top. So we're going to need our 4" by 13.5" rectangles. And we're going to have 2 sides on this bag, so I'm going to do this twice. And I'm going to need 8 of these flying geese rectangles that I just made. And I'm just going to arrange them so I have 4 going one direction and 4 coming the other direction. I'm just going to mix it up a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and sew this row of flying geese together, and then I'm going to sew the 2 rectangles to that panel. And I'm going to repeat that for the other side as well, and then I'll come back and show you what's next. So I went ahead and got my panels done, and I actually did a little bit of quilting. I put the piece of batting on the back, and then just quilted both of these pieces. And now we need to prepare the zipper and the little tab. So the tab is just 3 mini charm squares sewn together, and then what I'm going to do is fold it in half towards the center. Then I'm going to fold it in half again, and I'm going to give this a good pressing, and then I'm going to put some top stitching on it to seal it up. With the zipper, you're going to take 2 of your mini charms, cut them in half, and then you're going to put right sides together with sandwiching the zipper in between. I'm going to put those halves together. I want my halves to match, so I have the same on the top, and then one in the back. And then I just did a 1/4" seam allowance, and now I'm going to fold those back. I'm going to press them, and then I'm going to do top stitching on here to seal it up. Okay, now that I've got my zipper prepared, I'm just going to lay this right side down on top of one of my outside panels. And I'm going to center the zipper so the tabs look even on both sides. And then I'm going to grab one of the lining pieces right side down and lay that right on top. And then just make sure you've got lined up on top here. And I'm going to just put a few binding clips here to hold this in place. And then I'm going to sew a 1/4" right along the top here. You could use your zipper foot if you wanted to. All right, now I've got that sewn on. I'm just going to fold it over. And then I'm going to give this a good pressing. And then I'm going to repeat that on the other side. Same thing here. I'm going to put the right side of the zipper on the top of the outer fabric. Make sure it's lined up at the top. And then take the other lining piece. And now that I got clipped, I'm just going to sew it just like I did the other one. Okay, I've got both my sides sewn and my lining sewn on. And now I'm just going to give this a really good pressing up by the zipper. And then I'm going to come back and do a top stitch right along both sides of here. Okay, I've got my top stitching all done here. And now I'm ready to sew the bag together. Before I do that, I'm just going to open the zipper a little bit because I'm going to need to pull the inside through there at one point. And then I'm going to line the outer shell edges together and the lining edges right sides together. I'm also going to take my tab and fold it in half, and I'm just going to make sure it's turned with the loop towards the inside. And I'm going to just probably put it right about here on the bag. If you want it, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to tack this in first before I sew the sides. I might actually make it a little bit shorter. Once I have that done, I'm going to take my right sides together of both the lining and the outer shells. And then I'm just lining up both sides. I'm going to probably clip these in place. And basically, I'm going to sew around the perimeter of the bag. I'm going to start here on the lining side. I'm going to leave about a 4" gap here or a 3" gap. And then I'm going to go all the way around 1/4", and then I'll come back and finish down here, leaving that gap. Then I'll come back and I'll show you what it looks like when it's all done. This is what this flying geese made out of mini charm squares looks like when it's all finished. And I did finish the lining by just top sewing that together. Hope that you like this video. If you haven't done so yet, please subscribe and visit us at delafieldquiltco.com. Have a great day.